Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here. Once again, it's time for another episode of Dadbod to Daddy Transformation Vlog. And today was Posterior Chain Day. And in keeping with my 5-day power building split, I decided to do heavy deadlifts here at the start. Now, obviously, because I've been cutting and because I'm beltless, my deadlifts are not going to be quite as good as what people have seen at my peak strength when powerlifting. So for me, coming in doing 515 for a triple, perfectly fine. And with no belt, this was actually pretty heavy. Like I might have been able to get a fourth rep. But at the moment, because I'm cutting, not a big deal. Like I'm actually perfectly fine with this. You know, just like yesterday on the bench day, 315 for a triple, paused, flat back, all that stuff. No wrist wraps, perfectly fine. So again, as long as I maintain a good level of strength on these exercises, I don't have to be at like the ultra elite level. Perfectly fine, because we are focusing on physique, but I do like to come in and do a little bit of the heavy work on my barbell exercises. And I do like that idea, even though my goals are physique oriented. I tend to agree with guys like Mike O'Hearn that we can absolutely get the best of both worlds. And in other words, coming in and doing a heavy set of deadlifts is not going to hurt your physique in any way. So people have those bizarre ideas about it. But the thing is, it does really prime me for doing the extra work. And my volumes are not super high. I'm coming in, and after that, I only did really 6 really solid sets for posterior chain. They were all hard sets. They were all challenging. And again, that is enough. But I'm trying to go hard on these because I'm not doing a lot of volume, and I would kind of like the posterior strength to come back up a little bit. Really, that's going to come by gaining muscle. So I've gone back over to doing these the way that I used to do them. Stop listening to other people, right? I've deadlifted 635 with a stiff bar in my late 40s. We got to stop listening to other people when they say how you should do a glute ham raise or anything else. Really, you got to see me pull over 600 even off the deficit while doing them this way. I have big hamstrings, I have a big posterior chain, and quite frankly, doing them this way lights my hamstrings up, right? It lights my hamstrings up. I get the desired training response. So 3 hard sets of this, my hamstrings and everything were pretty well on fire, especially after deadlifting burst. And on the last set, I took it to failure. I ended up coming up, a rep or so short of the set before, because again, that fatigue accumulates. But yeah, the very last set, I tried to do a rep and I couldn't come up with it. So again, the main thing for me, I worry about with these is because when you're near the top of this, there's almost no tension any way you do this exercise, unless you do it against bands or something. So really that lengthened position is what we want. We're trying to build kind of that lower hamstring, and that's really where you tend to feel this exercise, right? A lot of hip hinge movements, you feel the upper part of the hamstring more. You feel that lower half really on those. And so again, the trick is to make sure that you stretch all the way at the bottom. So that's what I try to do on that. Afterwards, of course, I did my reverse hypers, and I took these just kind of until they burned, but I realized when I got to the 3rd set, I definitely can go harder on the reps if I just keep pushing. So we ended up doing, the final set of these was definitely harder. But what I did with this, I just decided to superset these with abs, right? Superset them with abs. So again, as I've also noted previously, I am going heavier on the reverse hypers, right? I've done the whole phase of doing them really light, and to be honest, while I like it from a lower back prehab perspective, when I observe over periods of time, my strength and muscle tend to go up a lot better when I just go heavy on those, right? We go pretty heavy on them. I'm not doing a crazy amount of swinging like I used to do on the lighter one, because it's heavier reverse hyper, you can't. But not really worried with trying to just use a really lightweight for a pump. I am trying to move a lot of weight, and the thing I've noticed, it really seems to hit harder in terms of just really feeling stuff like the glutes on it. The lower back, I've noticed I don't really feel a lot of difference of lighter versus heavier. That's probably because it's just a great prehab for the low back. But definitely things like the glute activation, when I go heavy like this, I feel a lot more glutes. In addition to the fact that it works hamstrings also in a hip hinge position. So I've gone back and forth over the years on how to go about doing these, a lighter versus heavier. And Really, I don't always like the heavy because I have to keep a lot of plates on there, and if I need them back off for any reason, it's a hassle to load and unload them because it's down under that machine. It's not like a barbell, to where you can just slide them on and off a lot easier, or some other machines, because you got to get down in there between the arms of it to do it. But it's like if I just leave it loaded heavy, perfectly fine. That's a rugged machine. It's rated to whatever 800 or 1,000 pounds or something. So just leaving 400 pounds on it shouldn't damage it. So that's just what I've been doing, so I can go heavier on it with no problems. Of course, doing my hanging leg raises between. We all know why I do the hanging leg raises. Staple exercise for me. We do them at the end of every workout, at least one set. Sometimes as many as 3. But my 5 workouts, we always do at least one set of them. So today I did 2 sets of them in between and decided I did want something a little different for abs. And so when I want to throw something else in just to hit a different angle, I like to do those standing band crunches. Again, very, very simple exercise to do. Doesn't require any equipment. Anyone with bands can do it. People can do the same thing, obviously cable crunches, but they're a slightly different strength curve. And I'll get to those in a second. I'll just talk about the band crunches because we don't do them that often on camera, at most once a week. So I might talk about those just a little bit more today. So the thing with those I do like, because the bands kind of jerk you a little bit different. It kind of creates almost an overspeed eccentric as soon as you come back up, kind of like other band work that we do high speed. So it just kind of hits different on the abs. I do some crunches and stuff a lot of times late at night. Sometimes I go to lay down in bed, I'll knock out 200 crunches or something. So it's not the only ab work I do. It's just that those aren't really part of dedicated training. It's just doing abs all the time. Because again, as I continue to get leaner, I do want the abs to be thicker, more defined. Also, because I do all my training beltless, we want to do as much ab work as really as we can handle, because I really do want my core to be strong. And when I'm doing all this beltless stuff, core can actually be a bit of a problem. So it's something to think about if you're going to train beltless. It's not that beltless training makes your core always stronger. It's that you probably need a stronger core to do more beltless training. So there's a reason all those old school guys, back before everyone had all the lifting belts, did abs all the time. It's probably a good reason for it. But as far as the band crunches go, the real trick is that putting a towel over your shoulders, okay? Because otherwise the bands will dig in, and people say, well, what about just a t-shirt? You'd be surprised what happens even with a t-shirt. If it's sweaty, the bands will still rub you raw through it, right? They'll absolutely rub you raw. So again, the towel on there is really just to protect your skin. And it's not a big deal, since we all have a towel when we train anyways. Throw it over your shoulders. The bands can dig into the towel instead of your skin. Problem solved. But overall, good workout, happy with it. So I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys and gals next time.